Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakens. Carl Gustav Jung. Before we begin, here's a small ritual. Write in the comments one word that accurately describes your current state. Sign it, and let's get started. The room is silent, yet something breathes behind the walls. A pulse flickers in the plaster, slow and weighty, like the heart of an old animal refusing to die. In that hush, a figure wakes, eyes open but spirit still drifting in twilight. The bed, the window, the fading wallpaper with its tired flowers. Each detail seems borrowed from a stranger's album. The name on the tongue feels foreign, flat, detached from marrow. Steps meet the floor, cool and unfamiliar, and the journey begins inside a skin that feels like borrowed cloth. Outside, morning stretches across the city, painting everything with habitual light. Streets flow with bodies rehearsing the same choreography learned in countless dawns. Layers of polite smiles, curated gestures, careful silence. The figure moves among them, yet glides at the edge of vision, an echo more than a presence. Every reflection in a shop front offers a different face, fragments stitched by expectation. The shape of a worker, the shadow of a lover, the faint silhouette of a dreamer who once believed in constellations drawn behind the eyelids. Within that fracture, memory rises. A childhood moment when the world tasted raw and true, when laughter burst without permission and tears carved rivers with equal right. That memory burns like a candle locked in a cellar. Its thin flame reminds the wanderer of a promise made before words were learned. You will live as the storm lives, untamed by names. Yet years piled upon years, silt upon silt, until the promise drowned beneath the weight of borrowed ideals. Now the candle stutters, but refuses to die, sending thin gold threads through the thick dust of forgetfulness. Night arrives early inside the soul. Noise fades, neon bleeds into nothing, and the city relaxes its grip. In that pocket of hush, the wanderer finds an alley where forgotten dreams sleep against cracked brick. Here lies the painter who never touched a canvas, the sailor who never saw the sea, the child who carved wings in notebooks but never leaped. The wanderer kneels among them, feels their slow breath, hears their silent accusation. We waited. We believed. Where were you? No answer comes. Instead, a breeze rustles inside the chest, lifting the dust of regret. It tastes of iron and rain, of something ancient and inevitable. A single step carries the wanderer beyond the alley into a courtyard where the moon hangs low, swollen with prophecy. A pool of water mirrors that moon, but the image ripples, splitting into faces concealed beneath the conscious mask. The wanderer leans closer. Eyes stare back, fierce and wounded, wearing scars hidden from daylight. Those eyes speak without sound, pronouncing a verdict already known. The wanderer reaches out. Fingers touch water. The surface breaks, and with it the last illusion of distance. Cold shoots up the arm, electric and primal. Something inside shifts, tectonic and unstoppable. The heart no longer whispers. It roars, claiming its forgotten kingdom. Breath deepens, shoulders square. The spine remembers. It was forged for more than bending. In that moment, the wanderer understands. The life endured until now was a rehearsal. The real story waits in the caverns below, polite narratives, beneath the persona sewn from other people's threads. To descend is terrifying, yet remaining at the surface is to die while breathing. The candle in the cellar flares once, twice, then steadies. A path glows downward, carved by the fire of every denied desire, every exiled instinct. With silent resolve, the wanderer steps forward, not away from the world, but through it, toward a center untouched by praise or blame. The journey has finally begun, not with a command, but with surrender to a deeper pulse that never ceased. The walls breathe again, but now the wanderer breathes with them. The costume tears, the skin listens, and somewhere beneath consciousness a letter unfolds, its ink alive, its message unafraid. Remember who you were before the world told you who to be. The air itself seems to hum, carrying a memory of storms that raged before calendars were invented. Somewhere a raven calls, its cry tearing through the stillness like dark silk. The wanderer lifts a gaze and tastes the sky, sensing how every cloud hides meanings older than language. Feet find the road again, slow, deliberate, with the gravity of an oath renewed beneath the ribs. Morning slides into afternoon without the city noticing. Sunlight drifts through tall windows and settles on a long corridor lined with mirrors from floor to ceiling. The wanderer steps inside, drawn by a hush that feels heavier than silence. Each mirror holds a separate world, yet every world breathes with the same half-hidden ache. Glass shivers with reflections that do not wait for permission to speak. The first pane offers a version of the wanderer dressed in careful smiles. The mouth curves with practiced kindness, the eyes soften to ease the gaze of strangers. This figure bows to expectation, moves with rehearsed humility, trades authenticity for a fleeting nod of approval. When the wanderer reaches out a hand, the smile fractures. A hairline crack spreads across the image, blooming petal by petal until the polite mask crumbles to dust. A step farther, and another mirror blooms. Here stands a judge clad in rigid certainty, brows knit, jaw clenched, arms folded like steel gates. This reflection carries the weight of unspoken condemnations, hurling stones at every soul who dares to mirror unseen faults. Yet beneath the stern veneer, a tremor pulses. The stones ricochet, drawing blood from the hand that throws. The wanderer watches the judge recoil, stunned by wounds self-inflicted. The corridor bends slightly, bending light with it. In the next mirror, a lover appears, eyes bright with longing, heart cupped in trembling palms. Love promised freedom, yet birthed dependence. The reflection leans forward, begging for completion in another pulse. That need, painted as devotion, hides an emptiness wide as ocean trenches. The wanderer feels the pull, the sweet gravity of surrender, yet senses the undertow waiting to claim the unfinished self. With a breath of clarity, the reflection loosens its grasp, letting petals of attachment drift to the ground. Another step, another mirror. This one floods with laughter that rings too loud to be real. The clown bows, juggling hobbies, accolades, clever jokes, trying to keep despair out of sight. Beneath every punchline, a sob coils like a spring. When the wanderer meets the clown's gaze, the painted grin melts, revealing skin etched with exhaustion. The juggling stops. Balls drop in soft thuds, rolling into corners where no audience waits. The corridor narrows. Glass walls close in, forcing the wanderer to move slowly, brushing shoulders against cold surfaces. Each touch ripples through the reflections, revealing hidden faces behind the primary ones. A child shamed for daring to roar, a youth scolded for shining too bright, an elder forced to shrink so others might feel tall. Layers peel away like bark from an ancient tree, each layer holding a drought that stunted growth, each scar mapping a story of self-betrayal. At the far end, a single mirror stands covered by a heavy veil of dark velvet. The fabric drinks light, refusing to reveal even its texture. The wanderer hesitates, heartbeat drumming the ribs like thunder within a hollow mountain. Fingers curl around the curtain's edge. The cloth is colder than night. A slow pull, deliberate as fate, lifts the veil. There is no glass behind the curtain. Instead, an open doorway yawns, leading into shadow thick enough to muffle thought. From that depth rises a pulse, deep and relentless, echoing the rhythm of blood. The wanderer understands. Beyond the threshold waits the shadow, the forgotten twin, holder of instincts labeled unacceptable by a civilized tongue. To enter is to greet every impulse exiled to darkness, every desire chained for the comfort of polite society. Courage is not loud, it is quiet, steady, a lantern carried by a trembling hand that chooses to step forward anyway. The wanderer inhales, tasting dust and possibility. A single stride dissolves the boundary between reflection and reality. Mirrors behind fall silent, no longer needed. In their place, a hush nods in solemn approval, as if the corridor itself knows the ritual is complete. The door swallows the wanderer. Velvet falls closed, sealing the rite. In the sudden dark, vision shifts inward. Fireflies of memory dance, sparking recognition of forgotten strength. Somewhere deeper, claws scrape stone, muscles tense. A presence stirs, sensing its visitor. Before words return, one truth settles like embers in the lungs. What was disowned now waits to be embraced. Light will be born from this meeting, not borrowed from the sky but forged inside bone. The path ahead may twist through labyrinths of fear, yet each turn is an invitation to claim what was always ours. Behind, the mirrors stand empty, their task finished. Ahead, shadow waits, not as foe, but as gatekeeper to power. The corridor is gone. Only heartbeat remains, steady as drums summoning warriors home. The plunge beyond the mirror yields not a cavern, but a hallway lit by ruthless clarity. Walls tower on either side, forged from contracts, certificates, silent codes of conduct. Names of institutions pulse beneath the surface like veins, their promise gilded, their purpose concealed. The wanderer walks upon a carpet woven from routines learned in childhood classrooms, offices, worship halls, each thread a directive whispered by faceless mouths. From ceiling to floor, stretch portraits without eyes. These are ancestral masks of obedience, worn through generations until edges dulled and seams vanished. They speak in slogans, etched so deep they echo as instinct. Be productive, be agreeable, be grateful. In their absence of gaze lies the command to never look back at them, to never see the empty sockets staring inward. A door opens by itself and discloses a chapel of desks where pupils recite facts like rosaries. Knowledge delivered as rations, measured and flavorless, ensures bellies never starve, yet never feast. Wisdom would swell the heart past its cage, so only fragments are allowed. The wanderer feels the weight of chalk dust lurking in lungs, the residue of lessons that caged curiosity behind tidy answers. A bell rings distant and hollow, granting permission to move to the next pen. Beyond, a tunnel widens into a market of ambitions. Neon banners sing of success, lined in velvet words that promise salvation through acquisition. Shoppers drift like sleepwalkers, arms full of titles, gadgets, curated identities. The wanderer touches one glowing display, and heat flashes up the arm, a fever that chants, buy, upgrade, perform. Yet underneath the chant whispers a quieter lament. All this shine cannot fill the unnamed hunger stirring below the ribs. Turning away, the wanderer enters a theater where applause never ends. On stage, figures bow to the invisible statistics that appraise their worth. Hearts are harvested for likes, tears packaged as content, rage streamed for profit. A mirror at stage right reflects not faces, but data points scrolling without mercy. The wanderer counts none, for counting would surrender to the metric spell. Instead, a breath is taken, soft yet defiant, disrupting the algorithmic hum. A stairwell twists downward into the office labyrinth, cubicles aligned like tombstones. Fluorescent light hums a lullaby of complacency, urging bodies to blend into ergonomic shapes until willpower dissolves in spreadsheets. The wanderer pauses at an empty seat bearing a plaque engraved with a vanished dream. Once a poet sat here, now only silence writes the quarterly report. The scent of forgotten verses lingers, faint yet stubborn. Further on, a gate clad in polished steel blocks the path. Inscribed upon it is a single maxim: conform and prosper. An old custodian sweeps nearby, movements slow, eyes bright with secrets. Without words, he gestures to the side, revealing a narrow gap hidden behind stacked boxes. Dust motes dance in the sliver of light that spills through. The wanderer slips inside. This passage feels alive, walls breathing with stories banned from official histories. Scribbles of rebellion cover the stone, testimonies of souls who refuse the trade of freedom for comfort. Every stroke rings like thunder swallowed in hush. The wanderer runs a hand along damp rock, absorbing courage left behind by unknown allies. Here, No voice is isolated. Each echo joins a chorus that refuses erasure. A distant rumble shudders through the floor, the restless growl of the system sensing a breach. Alarms would wail soon, yet fear fails to take root. Instead, a steady flame flares within, kindled by the graffiti's vow. Truth cannot be domesticated. The wanderer advances, guided by that heat, forging a tunnel of intent through layered deceptions. The corridor narrows at last, leading to a door carved from unfinished wood. Its grain swirls like fingerprints, unique and unregistered. There is no handle, only a silent invitation. The wanderer presses a palm against the surface. Warmth answers, unmistakably human, beating in tandem with the heart inside the chest. Timber absorbs the pulse, recognizes kinship, swings inward without protest. Beyond lies an expanse of unmarked earth beneath a sky unbranded. Air tastes uncatalogued, ringing with potential. Behind, the polished gate still stands, but distance blurs its command until letters fade like dying embers. The wanderer steps onto soil that remembers every footprint made in courage. Each grain seems to murmur, "Welcome home." The system recedes, not defeated but outgrown. Influence lingers like faint gravity, yet new muscles of will flex against the pull. A path unpaved stretches forward, bordered by forests where untamed stories roam. The wanderer breathes deep, lungs filling with unregulated wind, and strides onward, carrying the echo of locked corridors as a reminder of chains broken, not as shadows that steer the course. Dusk settles like muted fire along the horizon as the wanderer enters a clearing encircled by silent statues. Each figure honors the virtues praised by polite society: patience, sacrifice, restraint. Marble brows soften in permanent benevolence, lips curved in endless service. Petals drift from unseen trees, dusting shoulders with ceremonial grace, granting the scene a saintly hush. At the center stands the grandest sculpture, taller than the rest, carved from alabaster so pale it almost glows. Across its base, a single inscription reads, "Be good and be loved." The words glimmer with a warmth that once felt sacred. Children bowed here, learning early that approval is nourishment, that love arrives as reward for self-erasure. The wanderer touches the cool surface, fingertips noting fine cracks spidering beneath the polish. A sound stirs behind. The statues exhale. Stone eyelids lift, revealing eyes void of depth, yet bright with expectation. They step from pedestals and encircle the wanderer, garments rustling like pages turned by an impatient reader. Their hands extend gifts wrapped in ribbons woven from apologies. "Take these," they insist without voice, "for these are the virtues that spare you from rejection." One offers obedience, a cloak stitched from silence. Another holds forgiveness, granted before harm even arrives. A third presents a halo of endless availability, a glow that promises safety to every stranger while dimming the fire meant to guide the self. Their generosity disguises a quiet demand. Stay small so we may feel vast. Stay soft so we may grip harder. Stay calm so we may avoid our storms. The wanderer feels weight gather on shoulders, as if every gift already claimed its spot. Spine bends, breath thins. In that constriction, a memory flickers. A child scolded for shouting truth, taught that anger stains purity, that hunger for recognition signals vanity, that desire for boundaries betrays selfishness. The lesson was clear: be pleasant, be manageable, be good at any cost. But beneath the lesson roared another truth, muffled yet immortal. Blood carries the legacy of wolves that howled under raw moons, of rivers that carved canyons through stone, of sparks that yearned to become flames. That legacy is neither polite nor convenient. It breaks fences. It hunts lies. It demands honest feeling over curated ease. The wanderer straightens, vertebrae aligning with ancestral ferocity. Stone eyes narrow. A hush fraught with tension presses the clearing, brittle as thin ice. The statues sense rebellion. They advance, arms outstretched, chanting silent dogma. Harmony above authenticity, harmony above authenticity. Yet each step cracks their own surfaces, fissures flashing across marble skin. The lie that goodness equals hollow compliance cannot bear the weight of embodied defiance. The wanderer inhales and speaks, voice steady as earth. Kindness without truth is betrayal wrapped in ribbon. The words ring loud, though volume hardly rises. Sound waves reverberate through stone, prying open hidden seams. The statues falter, their halos dim. Hands crumble, dropping cloaks, halos, faultless smiles. A gust sweeps the clearing, lifting dust of centuries, swirling it into a cyclone of forgotten cries. In the storm, the wanderer glimpses faces once silenced, the artist refusing dull commissions, the mother demanding space for her own dreams, the youth daring to rage against injustice, each punished for disobedience to the myth. They rise in spectral chorus, voices threading through wind. Goodness is not self-betrayal. Their presence fuels the gale until statues shatter, shards flying like shattered snow, melting in air made wild again. Silence returns, vast and vital. Broken marble lies scattered, glinting in last light, no longer monumental. The wanderer surveys the debris. Among fragments gleams something small, metallic, weighty. Kneeling, the wanderer uncovers a mirror framed in tarnished silver. The glass reflects eyes now alive with unfiltered flame, jaws set in dignified resolve. This reflection no longer seeks permission to exist. Cupping the mirror, the wanderer walks beyond the clearing. Grass whispers beneath steady footsteps, gratified to feel tread of someone unapologetically whole. Air tastes thicker, laced with wild honey. Each inhale confirms a vow, authenticity over approval, truth over applause, living heat over performative warmth. Behind, the myth lies in ruins, but its echo lingers. Somewhere children still stand before pedestals, learning to trade soul for acceptance. The journey ahead will carry stories for them, torches lit from the fire that refused to dim. The wanderer strides on, holding mirror close, knowing it must reflect the blaze to any seeker daring to look past marble smiles. Night ascends, rich with constellations, uncharted by cautious eyes. Stars pulsate like drums, calling spirits back from exile. The path curves toward deeper woods, where shadow waits as teacher, not as threat. Heartbeat matches the sky's silent cadence, forging resolve into rhythm. In that beat glows a simple creed, forged anew, be true and be free. Night thickens into velvet as the wanderer reaches a forest trembling beneath moonless sky. Trees rise like cathedral pillars, bark scratched with runes of storms and seasons. Each breath draws scents of moss, iron, and something older than memory. The path narrows until roots knot across the soil, urging feet to slow, to listen. Somewhere ahead, a growl blooms, low as thunder buried under mountains. It vibrates through marrow, summoning a primal drum in the chest. Eyes adjust to shade, catching silver glints where dew clings to ferns. Between those blades lurks a pair of embers, watching with ancient patience. The wanderer stills, pulse echoing the hidden cadence. The beast steps into faint light, fur dark as midnight waterfalls over sinew coiled with dormant storms. Eyes burn amber, reflecting flickers of lives the wanderer never dared to live. No malice stains its gaze, only raw presence, untamed and whole. This is the shape of hunger that refused exile, of fury that sheltered wounded tenderness, of desire that never apologized for burning. Wind hushes, leaves hold their breath. The wanderer meets the glare without lowering eyes. Muscles quake, yet do not retreat. Within that trembling lives reverence rather than fear. The beast tilts its head, nostrils flaring, tasting the scent of truth rising through human skin. A step closes distance. Hot breath brushes cheek, carrying echoes of caves lit by bone fires. of hunts carved in blood songs. Memories flood, not of personal past, but of species pulse. Nights when hearts pounded against rib cages painted with ash. Mornings when dawn crowned victorious throats with steam. The wanderer feels fang and claw long denied, feels the rhythm of sprint and strike long silenced. Yet alongside savagery flows devotion, pack loyalty forged in shared survival, tenderness fierce as storm-rimmed cliffs. The beast exhales. The wanderer inhales that breath, letting it swirl through every vein banished from polite circulation. Skin tingles, senses bloom, spine stretches taller, grounded yet wild. In that mutual breath, a pact is forged. No more pretending the animal is enemy. The wanderer lifts a hand, palm open, neither command nor plead. The beast lowers its head, pressing forehead to skin. Sparks leap, a communion older than words. Fireflies ignite around them, weaving constellations from living light. Forest shadows shift, revealing shapes of other beasts within trunks and streams, silent witnesses to reunion. The wanderer understands. The animal is guardian, not threat. It carries instincts tuned to truth. Alarmed by falsity, drawn to courage. Denied, it rebels. Embraced, it guides. The beast steps back, eyes still aflame, then turns into the darkness. Stripe of moonlight slices through clouds, painting a path chalked in silver. The wanderer follows, gait looser, blood singing raw harmonies. No chain rattles inside, no leash drags. Instead, a cadence of claw and foot beats steady ground, writing new myth where wild soul and conscious mind walk as kin. At forest edge, dawn simmers beneath eastern leaves. Birdsong hovers, cautious yet hopeful. The beast pauses, glances once more, then slips into trees, luminous even in retreat. The wanderer stands breathing dawn's first hush, carrying embers beneath ribs, embers that will blaze when daylight demands masquerade. Shadow is friend now, hunger is compass, power is pulse. With sunrise unfolding, the wanderer steps onto open land, footprints deeper, stride honest, carrying the scent of cedar and feral promise. Behind the forest whispers gratitude. Ahead, a widening horizon waits for truth spoken in animal tongue. The journey continues, guided by a fire that will never again beg permission to burn. Dawn glows faint gold as the wanderer crosses a wind-scarred plain where broken masks litter the ground like pale petals. Each fragment once fit a face that smiled on command, cried on cue, negotiated worth in currencies of applause. Now sun bleaches the painted grins, rain erases their delicate detail, air hums with quiet eulogies to personas laid to rest. In the wide silence, an altar of splintered timber rises, assembled from abandoned scripts and expired expectations. The wanderer approaches, heart drumming a solemn cadence. Every step recalls contracts signed in self-betrayal, moments when truth was gagged to preserve harmony, days when hunger for belonging outweighed loyalty to inner fire. The altar welcomes those memories, not to shame them, but to burn them clean. Wind gathers, carrying the scent of smoke yet to be born. The wanderer places upon the wood a final mask, the most recent disguise, a face that negotiated safety by shrinking every wildfire into candlelight. Fingers linger on its smooth surface, honoring the service it provided, yet refusing to let its comfort dictate the future. With steady breath, the wanderer strikes flint against stone. Sparks leap, kissing dry fibers. Flame awakens. Fire devours the timber, hissing like serpents shedding skin. Heat rises, licking sky, altering shadows. Mask edges curl, paint blisters, varnish melts to amber tears. As smoke coils upward, images unfurl within it. A child laughing too loudly, scolded for excess. An adolescent scribbling poems beneath dull lessons, punished for wandering thought. An adult nodding through meetings while a universe of unspoken melody reverberated beneath ribs. Each vision dances within the smoke, then shivers apart, liberated from judgment. The blaze intensifies. Cries of old agreements echo, Fading with each crack of timber, the wanderer feels a startling hollow where duty once crouched. At first, the emptiness terrifies, like a void that might swallow purpose. But beneath the fear thrums possibility, wide and uncharted. Flame reflects in the wanderer's eyes, revealing pupils dilated by wonder rather than dread. A sudden gust scatters sparks across the plain. Where embers land, grass smolders, then blooms in small blue flames, tracing constellations upon the earth. The wanderer watches as these lights outline a new map, pathways that do not bend around approval, trails that venture straight through forbidden territory. In their glow, bones remember their design. Shoulders broaden, spine tallies itself anew, no longer stooped beneath invisible weights. Ash settles, soft and silver. In that hush, breath flows free of constraint. The wanderer kneels, sifting soot through open fingers. Among cinders lies a glimmering shard, not of mask, but of mirror. Polished by fire, it reflects a face stripped of rolls, pared to essence. Eyes shine clear amber, skin carries both tenderness and iron. There is no script here, only raw presence. Rising, the wanderer presses the mirror fragment against breastbone. It melds with skin, a luminous scar, reminder of vows renewed in flame. No audience remains to dictate lines, yet a choir of inner voices lifts in resonant harmony, singing of rivers ignored, stars unnamed, valleys unexplored. Their chorus guides the pulse forward. Clouds part, releasing a beam of sunlight that crowns the charred altar. Smoke thins, drifting into sky, carrying with it final whispers of the false self. The wanderer steps beyond the circle of ash. Footprints imprint soot upon wild grass, marking passage from rehearsal to unscripted existence. On the horizon, a range of cobalt mountains rises, summoning. Air tastes sharper, alive with the scent of stone and distant storms. The wanderer sets course toward those peaks, stride unburdened, heart unarmored, spirit newly woven from threads of shadow and flame. Behind, the altar cools, yet a faint ember glows at its core, proof that endings can kindle beginnings. The plain recedes. Sky expands. With each inhalation, the wanderer feels the false self dissolving into wind, becoming stories for campfires where others still bargain away their edges. No grief lingers, only gratitude for lessons learned under heavy masks. Eyes fix on the mountains, where the next descent into depth awaits. In that forward gaze burns a quiet proclamation, simple and relentless. I will live unmasked, even when thunder demands disguise. Twilight bruises the horizon as the wanderer approaches a ravine gashed into the earth like an unhealed wound. From its maw rises breath cold as memory, scented with salt, iron, and forgotten lullabies. The path downward is narrow, carved by countless souls who slipped here in dreams and woke uneasy, unable to name the dread that lingered on their tongues. With steady resolve, the wanderer steps onto the crumbling stair, each footfall shaking loose echoes of laughter silenced too soon. Darkness gathers quickly, folding over shoulders like wet wool. Torches do not burn in this place. Instead, the wanderer carries a dim glow birthed within the chest during union with the beast. That ember pulses, modest yet stubborn, revealing walls veined with ore that glimmers faint as distant galaxies. These veins whisper tales of rage transmuted to wisdom, grief forged to empathy, terror kneaded into courage. Deeper still, the cavern opens into chambers shaped by old nightmares. One chamber holds a mirror of black water. Its surface reflects not the face, but the moments abandoned in shame. The act of betrayal when self was traded for applause. The night desire was throttled to earn conditional affection. The day grief was laughed off so others might remain comfortable. Each image surfaces, luminous upon the water, then dissolves into ripples that lap at worn boots. The wanderer does not turn away. Shame loses authority when seen without flinching. Beyond the pool, a tunnel slopes downward into chill so fierce breath turns to frost. Crystals hang like frozen tears, refracting faint heart light into spectral rainbows. Voices hover here, belonging to ancestors whose longing was buried in propriety. They murmur prayers never spoken aloud, songs never danced. As the wanderer passes, the voices catch on the cloak and follow like gentle wind, finally heard. At the abyssal floor stands an arch of bone and basalt, gate to the underworld's core. Upon its lintel an inscription glows in ember script: abandon pretense or be devoured. The wanderer exhales a vow of naked presence, then crosses the threshold. Heat swells from below, volcanic yet nourishing. This furnace is psychic alchemy, where contradictions melt and recombine. Flames coil around memories once labeled unworthy, licking away judgment until only raw experience remains. Anger reveals its molten heart of violated love. Envy unpacks its secret dream of belonging. Despair unwraps a kernel of hope too resilient to die. In this crucible, everything is useful, nothing is discarded. The wanderer kneels, hands cupped, gathering liquid metal of integrated feeling, letting it seep into marrow. An immense silence follows, thick as obsidian. In that hush, the wanderer senses a figure stirring from the shadows. It is the self, vast and tranquil, wearing no mask, wielding no threat. Eyes like twin dawns regard the kneeling pilgrim with patient recognition. Between them flows a stillness that speaks. You have journeyed far, not to become different, but to recall the totality you already are. The self extends a palm. In its center glows a seed forged from molten contradictions. The wanderer receives it, feeling its steady warmth resonate with every heartbeat. The seed sinks beneath skin, lodging behind sternum where the ember once flickered. Light spreads, subtle yet irrevocable, threading through veins, mapping a constellation of new coherence. Walls of the chamber heave, as though relieved of duty. Cracks open overhead, revealing a sliver of star-strewn sky. A staircase spirals upward, carved by unseen hands, each step edged with the faint light now radiating from within. The climb begins, slow and deliberate, carrying the underworld's gift toward the surface. When at last boots touch open ground, night has surrendered to pre-dawn hush. The ravine behind no longer snarls. It exhales, mission complete. The wanderer stands taller, engine of quiet power humming beneath ribs. No trophy hangs in hand, no fanfare cuts the air. Yet inner terrain has shifted. Peaks of pride and valleys of shame settle into a landscape firm enough to build upon. Eastward, the first blush of morning spreads, promising paths still tangled and skies still storm-tossed. The wanderer breathes the cool air, tasting mineral traces of the deep. Every inhalation reminds that descent is not defeat, but requisite renewal. With seed glowing beneath bone, the journey turns toward rising sun, guided by wisdom cast in the fires below. Dawn crowns the peaks with rose gold. The wanderer stands upon a ridge, lungs filled with untamed air, the seed from the deep humming steady beneath the sternum. Shadow and light move as twins within the same stride. Below, valleys still barter masks, yet distance grants them mercy. A slow breath, a quiet smile. Feet lean forward into open land where no script waits, where every heartbeat authors its own myth. The journey stretches on, yet the search is complete, for the one who walks is the self, whole at last. We're sure you've discovered plenty of value, so subscribe now and stay connected.